Cool. Welcome to the Deep Fund Town Hall. So great to have you here. Yes, I'm going to share my screen to give you a little bit of an introduction.
Perfect.
Yes, thanks, Dustin. Feedback is always appreciated. And then we're going to go to Jan to give a bit of an update, and then to our main room, breakout room. New concept going on here. So here we go. Yay. Welcome to the Deep Funding Town Hall. This is an initiative by SingularityNet community in collaboration with the SingularityNet Foundation. And we aim to establish an open online space for deep funding and SingularityNet community and provide a place to make contact between community, deep funding, ambassador program to facilitate conversations, to facilitate and add disagreements. And this is not a place to make decisions, but it's a place where everyone's views are welcome. So yeah, it's so great to have you here. We would love you to stay in touch after this, so you can contact us with the SingularityNet, Deep Funding, and the AI Marketplace. Links will be posted in the chat, and we also have our Discord group. And without further ado, I will hand over to the one and only Jan.
Right, that's my cue. Well put, Swae. Thanks a lot. Great welcome, especially the part that everyone is welcome here. I would like to add for this occasion, just spontaneously, I think it's very important that this is a safe place for us all to be discussing things and to say whatever constructive thing you want to say, and feel free to do so. Sometimes some people stay quiet and others are more vocal. I'm usually one of the more vocal people on the call. But yeah, I definitely want to make sure that everybody feels free and unburdened to talk. We're here to exchange ideas, and the more people join that conversation and feel free to join the conversation, the better it is. So thank you for that, Swae. And yeah, I have two topics before we go to the real thing of tonight, the breakout room, which is not really a breakout room. Two topics are supervisory council election and the governance round. So I'm not sure if I will be repeating myself if I talk too much about the supervisory council election, but I feel that I haven't properly addressed it in a town hall, but if I do, just interrupt me, please. The thing is that we had a decentralization summit a while ago, 1.5 weeks ago, which is also a kickoff for a new decentralized entity within SingularityNet ecosystem. Now I'm a little bit distracted. So that's a very important step for SingularityNet as a new impulse to get more decentralized. And the first step going forward, going to there, is electing a new or renewed supervisory council. And as a first step of that election process, we want to ask all of you for input. So what are your experiences with the supervisory council? What are your expectations for a new supervisory council? What tasks do you think are most important for them? What would you like them to focus on? Are there any new things that you would like them to do? So these are important questions. We in our proposal portal, in our ideation portal, we created 5 pools for 4 topics and 1 general one to steer the conversations a little bit. So I'll just scroll through them here. So one would be about the key responsibilities, the things that were just talked about. But we can also discuss, should we elect them for a year or just until the new entity has been founded, or for 4 years? That would be an interesting discussion. There's also a topic related to rewards of the Supervisory Council. And the idea is not that we will mention exactly how much we think they need to earn for their services, but maybe some more principal things like, should they be rewarded at all or not? And if so, should that be in AGIX or should it be in fiat? And should it be static? Or should it be somehow related to the amount of hours that they are putting in? So those would be interesting discussions for me as well. Very sensitive topic, but I think this also shows our commitment to the community, that we also want to be discussing these kind of things with you. Yeah, voting is always a thing. Do we do quadratic voting, reputation, completely open, or will we only show the results? So we can have a discussion on that as well. By the way, open voting, where everybody sees which wallet has casted what votes, is also a topic for the general deep funding activities. Just close some distracting things here. So that's a topic, an interesting topic in itself, also outside of this election. And then the generic pools. I'm sure you can think of other things that don't fit this pool specifically. I think we already had one, but I forgot it. So please come to proposals.deepfunding.ai, find those pools. And it's not about winning. It's not about choosing the best proposal or suggestion or whatever. It's really just about conversation and discussing. And after that, we will collect all that input and try to somehow translate that into a requirements document. I won't go into the details of all the other steps. We will be sending out a newsletter. There's an article, a blog already, so it will get to you, that information. Grace, you have a question.
Yeah, I've been looking through the Swae and I've never used the platform before, and there may be other people listening who haven't. So the platform asks you to make a proposal, and I just want to comment, like, I'm confused about what I'm supposed to do. Like, do I have to write a whole proposal if I want to just make a suggestion? How does that work?
Yeah, so one way would be, so you have two options. You can give feedback on a proposal that has already been created, or you can create your own proposal. Only in this particular situation, proposal is a little bit intimidating term, maybe, because proposal, we don't have a specific format for this. It's quite free format, so you can just put your idea forward and then see how the discussion will unfold. Actually, perhaps we talked about that today. It might be a good idea if we start for all these pools with at least one proposal, so that people have a better choice, whether they can just add a small comment or indeed submit a proposal. So I think that's on our to-do list as well. And then, yeah, we have this portal. It's a third-party portal, so it might not be perfect for every situation, but we just use the tools the best way we can and use the tools that we have currently at our disposition. One other remark on election process. Next week, a week from now, so Thursday the 11th, there is a special edition of a town hall created by the same people you see here, not me, but the community, on the topic of these elections. And that will be an opportunity for you to also be in a conversation and discuss with your fellow community members what you think is most appropriate, instead of just doing it on our portal. So that would be a third option, basically, Grace. So yeah, I hope to see a lot of people there the next week. And we'll have, I think the idea is to have 5 breakout rooms. So 1 for each of these topics. So you can choose the one that is most interesting to you. Okay, that was one topic. I can continue talking about this, but I won't. The other topic is the governance round. So we had a couple of governance calls. And this is the second governance round. So we have deep funding rounds, and in between we have governance round where we ask the community, okay, we just had a new deep funding round. Are there any things you would like to see different? Any suggestions or improvement ideas? And for that, we have our governance round. And the previous time, we had a governance round with 1 pool where everybody could just submit their ideas. So whether we call it a proposal or an idea, that's not that important for me. This time, we experimented with having 5 different pools. Not sure that is the best solution, but we'll give it a try. We'll see what happens. We'll see if by creating these pools, we will also see the effect that people will actually start to think about the related topics. And also here there is a general pool. So whatever idea you have, there's always a place for you to put it there. So that's the other process. So it might be a little bit crowded in our ideation portal. So there are 5 governance pools and there are 5 election pools. But last week we discussed what would be the best approach. And yeah, we think it's actually easier for the community when you get there that you can do both things instead of having to come 1 week for one thing and then coming back the next week for another thing. So yeah, we'll see how that will evolve. And yeah, you're all invited. So I can go quickly through the topics of the governance round. We have, I'll just read it in the order it's here. Contribution rewards, so rewards for engagement and that kind of thing. That was a topic in the last round. So I'm looking forward to the discussions. For instance, should people that submit a proposal in a regular deep funding round also be rewarded for their engagement? Yes or no is a very interesting topic to discuss here. But surely there are other things as well. Community supported processes. So last time we did peer reviews with the awarded teams. The community helped us to do the eligibility reviews. I think both options, both processes are very promising, but need to mature further. But if you have specific ideas on that or want to have another process or see other opportunities for having the community involved in these processes, then this would be the place for you. Anti-gaming strategies, that's again about voting and ensuring that people play by not just by the book, but also by the intention of the book. Community and education and awareness is always great to have, like you, a lot of people here in calls like this. It's also very important to have engagement of the community on the proposal portal and giving feedback to all the proposals. So this would be a pool to discuss how we can improve and motivate that behavior. And then there's the generic pool. So those are the pools. So a lot of information, just mentioning all these pools here in this short intro, I can imagine is a little bit much. But please just go there, and I think it will all, and I hope it will all make itself clear when you browse through these pools. So I hope to see you all, see all your engagements and all your ideas popping up over there, whether it's on deep funding or whether it's on the supervisory council. Both are equally dear to me. Although I have to say, supervisory council is something we don't do every day. So I'm particularly interested in hearing all your ideas and suggestions on what the new Supervisory Council should be doing. Before everybody's really falling asleep, I think I have to quit here. Any questions on this so far? Everybody's asleep. Yeah, that's it. All right. Thanks a lot. And then over to the next part of this meeting.
Yay. Thanks, Jan. Great. Cool. And before we go over to our breakout room, just want to do a little call out to you guys. If you have questions that you would like answered, or topics for Deep Funding Town Hall or the governance, you are more than welcome to put yourself forward or to put an idea into the Deep Funding Town Hall, which can be facilitated by someone else. Yes, very exciting stuff. And now I will hand over to Parag for our breakout room.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to present. I want to first, especially thank Jan for supporting us, 0 to AI team. It's when we, first kind of submitted our proposals. So let me, I'm going to start with a, brief presentation on today's topic, and then I'll have a, again, small, 2 demos that I want to kind of cover today. So just to a brief background, at 0 to AI, I'm part of the 0 to AI team, and we were one of the awardees for the deep round, funding round, 1, and then also, we were fortunate to be a winner in the second round as well. So we are super excited to kind of build useful things that community can use, and always looking for feedback. So today's topic is again one of our final milestone from the round 1. It's about the sort of like a testing framework, and we all software engineers know that this super importance of the testing the code we develop, and it becomes even more important with these AI apps that are being built very rapidly with very large language models, and a lot of open source facilities available. So we've been working on it. Today again, it's a little glimpse of where what we have built and where we are heading. So I think this is a slightly busy slides for Subir is not on the call, so I will skip that over and won't bore you with that. But let me just briefly talk about that. So 0 to AI.
Wait, Parag.
Sorry.
I think we have problems with your screen share. I think it's only me or for others as well.
Yeah, for me too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. Hold on. Let me reshare.
Maybe when you stop screen share and start again, maybe you get it.
And now I'm kind of lost my Zoom session.
Oh yeah, this this happens usually.
How is that possible?
Might
I
be hiding in
apologize.
your, probably hiding in your taskbar.
This is the moment we need this interlude music, Felix.
My goodness.
Once again.
Where is it? I'm on the meeting, but I can't find my controls.
At least you're not muted. That's great already.
Yeah, halfway there.
Sometimes when you screen share the screen that you shared at the very top of that screen, you'll have your controls pop over there.
Yeah,
Or
that's what
sometimes
I'm
there's
trying to do.
like a black arrow towards the top.
It's nothing.
Mhm.
Do you think you can send over the slides to somebody else, maybe, that they can share them?
Are you on mobile, Parag?
No, I'm on my desktop. This
Oh.
is really strange. I'm on the meeting, but I can't find my Zoom control. It's not on my taskbar.
You could also try logging off and logging on again.
There is usually a little pop-up on the side, like a little window when you're like minimizing the Zoom call. So it might be somewhere on the side, but you can see it.
I know best that I give, times that I jump, never will feel the same.
I may have to drop and join again, guys. I'm like get lost here.
No worries, dude.
Yeah, you're all good.
Oh, right.
Actually, Tommy, if you want to share sound, if you share it like this, it usually comes through a little quickly. Yeah. If you want on Zoom, what usually works well if you want to share sound, you share screen.
I was just trying to be soft and in the back, and since Ed won his lawsuit on his song, I felt it was appropriate to play it.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's the plan. Don't watch YouTube videos during a recording and then put it on YouTube. You just have issues there.
It's a good point. I've been trying to find the place to share sound, and usually I can share sound on Zoom, but I can't.
I see you can when you go on share screen, actually.
Yeah.
And then you go in advanced.
Yeah.
And then you have computer audio.
No, I don't have that screen.
Then you should update your Zoom version.
Does that mean it's an out-of-date Zoom?
I think so, but you can normally do it directly here via.
Yeah, usually I can do it.
And Parag is back, I think.
Am I? I mean, I'm on the call, but I am not even sure how to. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I am like, I can't find my Zoom thing anywhere on my computer. I don't even know how to get out, close, and come back.
Parag, are you using, it's a Windows computer?
Yeah, Windows.
Have you tried Alt and Tab to try to find the window?
Yeah, I am on a task manager. And I should see Zoom, right?
Then you should take the PC, open the window, throw the PC out, and say, fuck you all, I go into a long weekend.
On the taskbar on Windows.
Or call
on
a
the far...
priest to exorcise your PC as well, might help. Jesus, not even the task manager?
No, task manager, has Google Chrome, Edge, Excel, blah, blah, blah. But I don't see any Zoom. This is like the most bizarre thing I've ever observed.
See, Felix, that's why you should be using Apple's.
No.
It's just a demo effect. These things only happen during demos.
The demo guards are playing.
Yeah, are you able to share your screen so we can see? Or You can literally, oh yeah, of course you can't.
Oh,
Can't even
if I can find my.
maybe you just need to like remove
Is
everything.
there any keyboard tricks?
He got it.
Yes, he left. I never thought I would be cheering that, guys. However, here we are, and I'm sure he'll come back soon.
Jan, while we're waiting for him, let me start a conversation, cause a little controversy, if you don't mind, about the supervisory council.
Controversy is very often healthy because it leads to discussion. So let it come.
That's the point. So I've had, other than seeing on the summit, on the multi-track, I have had no interface experience with the supervisory council. During the summit, if I recall correctly, there were only 2 members that presented. When the whole project was formulated, what was the intended purpose? What was the genesis of the supervisory council, and what were they charged with?
Yeah, so I think, so actually it would have been best to have these questions during the AMA after the summit. We may also have another session for the ambassadors or whatever with the supervisory council, but if we can get it organized. But in the meantime, I will try to answer as good as I can. I think if I don't know it by heart, but there were 2 main things. One was indeed keeping the connection with the community, and the other was being the how do you call that, the consciousness, there's the conscience of SingularityNet, guiding SingularityNet in a proper direction and guiding AI in a beneficial direction. So being a complete outsider, making sure that we don't do evil. So those are the 2 things. But the dynamics of the supervisory council over time played out, I think, a little bit differently than originally envisioned. And that is exactly why we are having this input round now. So I would like to hear from the community, and I stated that in my intro. Are there things that you are missing? And are there things you would like them to do? What kind of role do you like them to play? And then we can make a proper requirement for that and make sure that we put them in the position that they can actually fulfill on that. Yeah, shut up. Next.
That was
okay. I'm back. Are you able to see my screen now?
You got it. Yay.
Okay. I have no idea what I did, but I'm back. So let me play this. So as I was saying, that I think the testing framework is what I want to talk about today. And at Zero to AI, we are kind of sort of like a facilitator glue, which we are kind of consuming from, let's say, services from Hugging Face, automatically converting and publishing on SNET. We also enable access to all of these AI and ML apps on the smartphone to kind of broaden the accessibility. Anybody with having a phone can have an access to the latest and the greatest AI available. So what I want to do is that I want to kind of talk briefly about the state of the AI testing. So for example, if you look at Hugging Face, let me just make sure you guys can see my screen and hear me, correct?
Yep, all good.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. So So Hugging Face has a kind of a library for validating the models that you develop on Hugging Face. It also provides a kind of an API-driven capabilities where you can kind of write leveraging the Gradio client to do automate your testing of your services running on Hugging Face or anywhere Gradio-based services. The one other thing is that testing framework that enables easy kind of a way of community to evaluate large language models. Right now all this buzz around ChatGPT, OpenAI, Microsoft. So we have developed a little tool that I'll share briefly that we would like to make that available to the community. So our currently purpose is that we are building products using the OpenAI models, and we are currently restricted to GPT 3.5. So we are trying to create a little test framework and submitting our eval, to challenge, a large language model with some of the test data sets that we have created. And then we would like to make that available to the community where, anybody can easily, kind of submit, something along that line using a simple to use tool. And LangChain, I'll leave that for later. So with that, let me quickly demonstrate the LLM challenge tool that we have developed recently. Again, it's in the work, but let me show you what we have. So here is the, kind of a, simple little, a Gradio application that we have developed, that, bringing SNet and Zero to AI to kind of, take, let's say, ChatGPT and, kind of, put through some of the paces of saying that, is it, as good as it is? Are there areas where it gets things incorrect? So here is a simple test we have, and let me start fresh here. So I'm going to update, upload a little test prompt that we have created. I'm going to take the eval as simply basic. I'm going to take LLM. I'm going to take GPT. Again, this has been extended to LangChain and others. But for simplicity, so this prompt.csv, let me open that up so I can show you what it has. Okay, so here are, it's a, fairly, 3-4 questions with the completions. And we want to see that, how does, 3.5, GPT 3.5, kind of does with some of these questions. As you can, see from the questions, some of them are, tricky questions with a purpose in mind. So let me go back to my little application. And now I'm going to submit that and I'll let the, GPT 3.5, eval this. And let's see how well it does it. See, so you would have expected it to be kind of, coming with, full scores, but, half of the questions it got incorrect. So the basic idea is that, we want to make this sort of tool accessible to the community where if you want to contribute, help this effort, there is a simpler method and a UI that you can leverage where you can, bring your own data sets, use these tools, upload it and submit it and see how does, GPT-4 does, 3.5 does, LangChain does, and any other models that come up. So our primary goal is that we are trying to get access to GPT-4, and this is the kind of a challenge we are building up to submit in their eval process. I'm going to pause here. Any questions, comments?
Who do you you imagine as your typical user of this tool?
No, so this tool is, kind of we develop for our own purpose because, we are trying to kind of, take part in the, the OpenAI eval, and others, right? There are all these AIs and, you need some simple way to kind of, evaluate that, how well does it perform among, varied, type of data sets. And if, communities find it useful, we'll make that available. So there are, many efforts parallel going on that people are providing and taking part to, providing data set that, challenges, today's AI, LLM models and stuff.
That's clear. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, let me move on to my next step then. So next is a little test frame that we have built that kind of leverages the Gradio client. So I'm sure you guys are all kind of familiar with Gradio. It's like one of the simplest application. Anybody working in ML and AI can leverage to build and kind of demonstrate, publish it, for users to consume it. So it also has a framework where not only you can test manually from your application, but you can kind of write through the API access the services that you have been running. Whether kind of you are ready to validate your service that you are ready to publish, or it could be ongoing. It could be some simple tests. It could be some adversarial tests to always know that your service is performing to the standard and as expected. So for this demo, and I have about 50 or so kind of a little what we call micro apps running on our infrastructure. So here is a little Fit Genius. Again, it's using OpenAI, to kind of, give you a little app that you come up with, says, and I'm looking to do, increase my upper body strength, get me a little app for my personal workout plan. That I should be using, for that goal that I have, and here you go. That you get a little, custom workout plan for your things. Let's take a look at another app. Here is a little recipe creator. Here is a little kind of a travel guide. Now you could have many of such things, right? So let's maybe try one of this. So I want to go to a weekend getaway. To a tropical beach destinations, and it's going to kind of give you a little fun little facts about where you are going, some itineraries, an image of that. Again, these are not like a very complex apps, but simple app used that anyone out there with a phone may find it useful. So here little custom itineraries that has been put together for you, what you should do if you are visiting island, and little kind of a little image for you. So now the question is, as you kind of develop all these apps, you need some automated way of kind of testing this these apps, that do they continue to perform as they should be in a continuous manner, right? So just imagine that on the SNet services, where you are ready to publish, you can use, make, leverage tools like this. When the service has been published on a continuous basis, you can kind of leverage tools to kind of, test that your service is still running on par with what you expect, and whether it needs some fine tuning, when it needs to be updated, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so here is just a brief demo that I'm going to run, which what it does is it's essentially kind of walks through about 50 or so services that has been running, talks to it, connects to it, handshakes it, figure out the the parameters that are required, the input parameter, output parameters, and then submits kind of test functions to validate that yes, this services are working as expected. And then as kind of to continue this thing, we plan to automatically generate some of these tests just by giving your kind of a test code for your models that you have developed. In the effort of kind of automating and making it kind of useful construct in the overall life cycle of building and developing and publishing. So this will kind of go through quickly over 50 or services. I give you a little blip of it, and it will produce somewhat kind of a report like this, that these were all the endpoints that it touched upon. Each services, what were their services about, what inputs do they take, what are the outputs that are there, and what were the results of some simple tests that were kind of pointed at that those services. And this could be run in a continuous basis, and we find this to be kind of be very useful as we develop lots and lots of services that show up on a platform, to be able to quickly test them, validate them, rank them, and then kind of make that kind of information available to our users to pick the right set of services for their the task that they have at hand. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in today's topic. I'm looking for sort of like feedback, comments, questions.
Well, I have one comment, helpful question maybe. So do you think these test results are somewhat objective? They will, if you rate services based on these more or less standardized tests, will they say something about the quality of the AIs relative to each other?
Correct. Yeah, that's the goal, Jan. So I think we would, this is a building blocks that we are developing, but it will actually put, depending on the type of the service that you are testing, through appropriate set of tests, and come back with a kind of a score that how well does this the service or the model kind of is performing.
Yeah, it might be interesting at some point in the future to feed this back into the platform or into the marketplace, so that you could see the results. And if it would really work well, I'm not sure what other options we have in that, by the way, but it could even be part of an envisioned reputation system of services.
Exactly, right. That's one of our thoughts of that it's and again this data set can be fed by the community, right? That kind of gets collected and kind of very fairly testing the models and make it kind of an ecosystem that services published on the marketplace go through some of these auto ranking systems and come out with a kind of a reputation scores.
Okay, Parag, I think I do have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, two things. First, I would like to be quite clear what your model is testing after. Is it testing for the functionality of the model or the efficiency of the model? Because these are two different things. And even the training data upon which the model was trained upon, these are all different things. So I'm really struggling to get which particular thing this particular framework is going to be testing against. One. Two is why should this particular framework be a standardized framework? On what basis is that standard upon which we can now all come together to agree that this standard is such a standardized framework that every other model should be tested against? Because for us to be able to come to that standard, then there must be a consensus upon which that standard is actually operating on. So these are some of the questions I'm really having. I'm struggling with that, with your
No. So thank you. They are very good questions, right? So what I'm showing is just a kind of an initial building blocks of where we are heading, right? So this would turn into a kind of an open framework that people would contribute, improve, and then it would get a reputation by just kind of a community engagement. So what I'm just showing is kind of something that we are building within Zero to AI to kind of help us at first step of kind of evaluating that is this model working? Is it providing results? Then the next level would be is that are they providing what the quality of the results are, and so forth. So we are not nowhere near there. Right? So this is just a kind of a starting proof of concept that we find very useful within our product line. And then, we would like to kind of, turn this thing into something kind of a bigger by community engagement, if there is an interest and, we see the benefits.
Stephen, you have your hands up first, I
Hi,
think.
Felix. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, Felix. Interesting presentation, Parag. Thank you very much. Are you, referring to the open framework, are you going to publish your data sets on Hugging Face, or do you have a GitHub repository where you're storing the Python code in the data sets? Can people follow your progress on open source repositories?
Yes, that's the plan. We are still in our early stages. We are kind of working through it, but the idea is that we want to first make it really useful for within us, bring enough goodies into it so it's kind of usable for the community, and then kind of go toward that.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Felix, you wanted to say something?
Go first.
Okay. Yeah. I just have a question about the community engagement. If you could just give us a rundown of exactly why the community would engage in contributing to this framework. Is there anything that kind of sets it apart? As we know, there are a lot of contributions happening in a lot of frameworks. Is there something that makes this special?
So, I mean, I think we kind of, plan to bring in all the kind of a cutting edge, technologies into it. So, right. So what I mentioned is that we plan to even kind of produce the test, test program, test data sets, even utilizing the latest AI technology and things like that. So, for example, right now, right? I mean, these are small steps that we are taking. We are not completely there, but I think it's kind of heading in the direction that people will find useful to kind of automate the testing of their service that are published. Continue to see that how are they performing and things along that line. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Did it fly?
Yes, I was nodding my head.
Okay.
Okay.
While watching it through your presentation, actually, I would love to invite you maybe into a collaboration, Parag, because there's another funded proposal on Deep Funding World 2 as well. James, to build a sorry for the background noise, on LLM as a direct integration via Discord bot as well, to build own Cadence SingularityNet specific, really own trades, LLMs. And it's just set up the first threads there. It's just defining now, okay, how to evaluate questions and answer pairs and all this stuff. And testing it, maybe even while we develop it, and then maybe having a way as well, like Jan mentioned before, right? Bringing maybe your insights back on the platform, say maybe your insights and the data, not only for consumers, but also back to the developers, that they can look on the test and can say, oh, okay, maybe you are able to even facilitate, and the developers say, hey, look, you need to improve here and here and here. You can structure the data maybe on a certain part and give it back to the developers, that they can really improve their development by your tests, actually, by using it more like a constant guideline, always running it through, which would also allow you to have better feedbacks and insights back on your testing then as well.
Absolutely. No, that's a very, very good point. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. What's the best way to reach out to you?
So I will share my emails and stuff. I think we are, our information is on the SingularityNet, as we will be working toward, we'll be very soon starting our new, project that we have been awarded. So I think, I will reach back to Jan and you and, kind of give you our contact information. Any other questions, comments that I can answer?
What's your biggest challenge right now while developing this further?
So the biggest challenge is, is kind of, it's kind of abstracting to, multiple frameworks, right? These are all these things that today is Gradio, tomorrow it's Streamlit, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, something else is. So we are kind of starting out kind of with specifics, but, we, plan to kind of make this thing very abstract, where multiple of this kind of, building blocks can be plugged in, and those all can be leveraged and utilized.
Parag, what tool did you find most useful for building the tests? Was it Gradio?
Yeah, Gradio is one of the easiest one to kind of, get started and going.
Right.
And it provides the necessary kind of ecosystem, the APIs, which you can kind of plug in and extend. Our next step is to actually look at Streamlit. So that's also, pretty powerful, and it's heavily used, where kind of data and visualization and AI.
And that's run on, that can generate Python code for you, and then could you run that through continuous integration tests on GitHub, for example?
Correct. I mean, nowadays with these technologies, right? You can, pretty much ask the AIs to LLM models to describe what you want, and it will, spit out the code that's like 99% works. So not only the actual code, but, you can ask for it to generate the appropriate set of test code. And then you are kind of connecting these dots and creating a framework where, this could really facilitate and kind of help make a better, working services. Because today, even like you go to Hugging Face, right? There are thousands and thousands of services, but many of those don't work. You go, try to test them. They maybe worked, the day it was posted, but then, they are, then you get frustrated, right? They are, all you hear is like little errors.
Yeah, thanks very much for the answer. That's, as Jan was saying, it's a possible solution if you had a large data set within SingularityNet, for example, a contribution data, and you had some tests that worked upon it, then you could then automate those tests and then make sure they were robust and rerun them on the data set. So that is quite a good use case in the medium term.
No, thank you.
Well, then, oh, sorry, I should have put my hand up. Do it now. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm not used yet to these large groups here, so that's a luxury. At what stage do you think this testing is most useful?
I think this testing, we find it very useful right from the beginning, as you are developing your services. Yeah. From, building your, automated unit test to the point where you are ready to deploy and continually testing, right? This is the discipline that kind of lets you kind of accelerate, right? Because you are continuously don't want to be afraid of making changes to your stuff because you have this automated system that's going to look out for you, right?
Yeah, but as soon as the service is in production, then there's no need for testing anymore, right?
I would disagree with that. I mean, I think once it's in production, this is something that needs to happen continuously.
Yeah. Now I was thinking about this reputation system, and I think, yeah, the best test for a service is to have it used by a lot of people. And will probably feed back into a better reputation score, a more reliable reputation score than a testing result, unless it's some very specific benchmark where you can test multiple services against, which is hard with a large variety of services, of course. But yeah, just contemplating that. I don't have a strong opinion here or something, but yeah.
Correct. Now you are absolutely right, Jan. So I think that's where we want to kind of take it, is that once it matures to kind of play a role in kind of coming out with a score for a given service, so these are like, little, steps that we are trying to take that immediately helps us while we are developing. And we find that it could be useful to the community. So that's the, kind of a purpose.
Cool, thanks. I see Ubio has his hand up.
Yeah, so Parag, like we said, this is a very nice service, especially for AI developers. We really know how this is going to be helpful. But I just want to add, I don't know if there's going to be a question or a suggestion. So given the ranking and the scoring is not going to be much beneficial to me as a developer, as much as the debugging as well. So that's one angle I want to bring, because I don't think I've had any discussion around that. So what's the debugging? If I get to know that my reputation score or the ranking around it's actually, after testing, I realize that it falls below a certain benchmark. Are they, is it integrated some debugging tools inside there where I get to know what to do, how to improve my model, where the deficiency is, and what I need to do in specifics? So, because towards AGI these days, we are not just about getting the score and getting the problem. It's about solving the problem as well. That's where AI is moving towards. So I want to know if that's also integrated as part of the model, and if it is, how, because that's I think much more technical than just generating a score. Generating a score, it's against certain parameters. So I think, so if there is such, what is the technical dynamics to that?
No, very, very good question. So as I kind of like, my disclaimer very earlier on, right? This is like a very early stage in the, developing a framework like this, right? We are kind of leveraging and utilizing for ourselves first, and then as we see that, this becomes useful, we can kind of take it in multiple directions. But it's kind of too early for me to kind of, comment on where, this will kind of head, how this will mature, where this will, but, this essentially, I mean, the first goal is to kind of, simplify the tasks that can be automated, and bring the visibility into something that, without you doing that manual effort, right? That's the immediate goal.
I mean, Parag, do you think it could contribute to a community sort of test strategy? Like, so we could collaborate together on unit test standards and a test strategy for the programs that are developed in the Deep Funding program, for example. So we could then, take our data sets, run them through the tests, and then see what quality measures we can apply to them. That's one outcome, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. So I think, if there is enough interest, we could have another session where, partner of my, and I can kind of take this thing a little, further. And kind of describe the kind of the vision, what we are thinking, what the community would like to see it in it, and kind of, accelerate some of these efforts.
Yeah, it's great potential, as you say. I mean, it's small steps, isn't it? And it's an iterative process. So, but building it up and sharing the models would be great. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
it could also be great to arrange a session with the community, perhaps through Deep Funding Town Hall or the Ambassador Program, to kind of take people a bit more step by step through it, so we can kind of experiment with it. Yeah, I can imagine that being quite fruitful.
No, makes sense. Yeah, I mean, we would be very happy to kind of take part in those kind of activities.
Cool.
Oh, Jan is raising his hands now. He's not sure anymore.
Yay, I did it. I found it. Yeah, I'm not sure if we really should go this direction, but I don't want to leave it unmentioned. So one use case I can imagine for this is related to deep funding and related to milestones in a kind of test-driven development process, where at the beginning, maybe already when you propose submit your proposal, you would create a test data set. And then with a neutral tool, you could at some point see whether the end product lives up to its promise. And then maybe pay out the last milestone when the test has passed or has gotten a certain grade. Not 100% sure. It's a possibility. I don't think we should be too hung up on these initial definitions, because things might change underway. But yeah, it might be an interesting direction of thought.
No, interesting idea, Jan. Yeah.
Good question on top of this, then. When you say you have funded proposals which develop services which were valuable to deep funding process itself, and you want to implement them, let's say, how does this run then from the side of maintenance, for example? Because in the best case, it would be still Parag, but to maintain and further develop the thing would require some serious resources and capacities over time then as well, right? Would you still need to submit a follow-up proposal in Deep Fund round 3, 4, or 5 then to ask for funds to maintain the development?
I mean, we would, require some support and assistance, right? But again, at some point, this can become kind of an open source collaboration effort where, community kind of takes over and contributes and, kind of gives its directions and priorities and others. So, if the, community, there is a strong interest, with some support, we could kind of, turn this thing into something, something solid, in a more accelerated pace. I mean, we are small, we have multiple priorities, but, this is, one of our kind of, topic, dear to our heart, kind of.
If I can spontaneously react to that, I think if there is if it adds value to the deep funding process and the deep funding quality, etc., then yeah, we probably find a way to get it realized. So there are two parts here. One would be having the resources, as in human resources, and the other would be having the budget. And yeah, I think if it adds sufficient value, we can probably find a way to supply both one way or another.
Oh, great. I mean, so Jan, maybe what we do is that, maybe have a session maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe if we can get a feedback on specifics that community members would like to kind of, and we can kind of do our homework, come back, present, and then, kind of take it from there.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't want to raise expectations that I can't fulfill, but
Felix, no, that's fine. Yeah.
Felix mentioned, and I'm taking this as a kind of conceptual thing. And we are now talking about this testing service, but it can be applied to other things as well. For instance, Kendrick here is working on the contribution score. That will also require continuous maintenance, I suppose, and further development, etc. So as long as a tool adds sufficient value to or tool or service. In fact, town halls are also a good example of that. They got funded, and at some point that funding stops. But if we still think they have sufficient value, then we can fund them again. And maybe at some point we can find a more structural solution to that than requiring teams to submit a proposal each round again for the same thing. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That also doesn't add value to the deep funding experience, I would say, not from the voters, not from the community, and not from the proposers. So for those kind of things that add value but require continuous attention or development or whatever, I'm sure we can find some kind of arrangement to make that work. But how we assess that, whether it will add sufficient value, that's another thing. Therefore, for that, we might need some kind of governance process.
Then, Parag, may I go for another question then too?
Please, please.
Because it's a while already you're on deep funding. How is your experience so far as funded proposer? Like things you will see, wow, this is really nice, and other topics where you see, oh, cool, there might be something what you expect maybe being better.
No, so last year when we joined, it was our first experience. I mean, I think we been very active participants. We have kind of build out quite a bit of useful little kind of goodies, so to say, in this period. We have learned a lot, and we especially enjoyed a lot of support from Jan, as we were the beginners joining this community. So we like the purpose, how the community kind of works together, and we would like to continue to contribute in whatever fashion we can. So I would like need some guidance from you guys in terms of if there is an interest. We would like to do another presentation with perhaps some initial kind of questions up front, so we can kind of give you a very kind of a concrete vision that we have, and kind of take the community, get feedback, and then perhaps that will give you guys a better picture of is this something that something that we don't want to wait to support us, and we would love to kind of work on this at an accelerated pace and, do something really useful for the community and the SNET services as a whole.
Definitely think there would be value in having a follow-up. Maybe transform it a little bit more from a session into a workshop to get some hands-on. And maybe this could be a nice topic for the AI sandbox, maybe even.
I actually thought that it could be a great thing to invite Parag to the AI sandbox to have a little play around.
Parag, which time zone are you in?
I'm sorry. So are we kind of like referring to kind of a hands-on session where we can kind of like, let people kind of try this thing out and, walk through and see what works? Absolutely. Yeah. We may need some kind of heads up and some time to kind of get that into that shape, but absolutely. That's something we would really love to kind of do.
I think the only thing that we need is your availability so we can book a session, put in the calendar, get some community involved and on board for that.
Okay. I will reach back, no, if not all, but I do have, Jan's contact and stuff like that. So I'll use him perhaps as the, the contact person and kind of reach back. If that's okay.
I'm sure Jan still doesn't have enough to do. Let's give him some stuff more.
I do it with love. Actually, I was right now thinking, and that's why I was typing in the meantime, of connecting you with another internal person at ours that is working on AI DSL. And I see some connections. They are also working with the Hugging Face at the moment. They are also, well, they're using a different process, IDRIS based on evaluating the capacity of a service by actually probing their output. So it's quite a different approach than what you are taking. But at the same time, I thought maybe some exchange of ideas between you might be beneficial for either or both of you.
Absolutely, that would be great. We would love to see other perspective and learn from it, adapt, and maybe there is some synergy. The 1 + 1 = 4 kind of a thing.
That's what we're always looking for, Parag.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Okay, thank you, Jan.
Touch and I'll let you know. And everybody else who wants to get in touch with Parag, just contact me or vice versa.
Okay. Thank you, Jan.
Actually, also just looking on what happened right now here also, I think really, really nice to see as well this value of really giving slots to funded proposals and to really help them on implementing their proposals. There was some really cool networking that, cool, I'm doing hit at this, getting better insights. So, maybe we can collaborate on that. Because one thing, for example, on the experience from Catalyst, there are more than 1,000 funded proposals. Though even being there all the time, I maybe use very, very little of all the implemented proposals. Maybe I'm in touch 4 or 5 on an actual practical base. And maybe something also where it could maybe give a little bit more attention of, okay, the tools which are developed and funded here by the community can also directly be used and really also much more collaborated together with the community. And you see, for example, cool. Once they have the first MVP or proof of concept up, they need feedback, right? And it's really difficult to get feedback. Just calls like this, and I think can help a lot, or maybe other formats as well. But really giving attention to funded proposals, not only in the voting, especially after the voting, that in the implementation, right?
Definitely. Great stuff, Felix. I definitely think that leveraging the community is a great opportunity to kind of integrate these tools into our use. Cool.
And I think one of the thing is that I know this whole SNET API has been kind of, going, under changes and stuff. So we would love to kind of get access to latest and greatest, those insights kind of help us, how to, do some of this automation, orchestration, and other aspects.
Cool. I would say this new format with just one breakout room works splendidly. We have a lot of feedback and a lot of discussion on this.
Definitely.
Well, Parag has an easy game. He does some pretty cool stuff. So
he does. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so I think I've pretty much covered what I wanted to, and I thank you all for all the feedbacks, and look forward to the follow-up so we can kind of take this thing to the next steps.
Yeah, thanks very much, Parag. It'd be great to hear from you when you publish some data sets as well and some Python code. That'd be really great as well. So, to sort of the collaboration and the potential for testing is great as well. So thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Good job. One last note, what Jan mentioned before already, there are quite some open pools now on Swae. Dropping a link now again for different categories now. And please, everybody, if you have some time, some attention, and love to it, jump in, throw your thoughts on there. It's really, really what is the most important one for governance role.
And there is also a
Another link.
There's also a Padlet, which I've just posted in the chat, which is kind of a document to collect questions for the current supervisory council. If you have any thoughts or any contributions, more than welcome there as well.
There you go, Tommy.
Yes, I was just in there looking at it. I gave your question a thumbs up, Dave. I like that. I like that. I will spend some time in there and the pools. And that was a very good presentation by Parag.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Then, thanks a lot. That's it for today. And stay tuned on our calendar meetings. There are quite a bunch and more coming up. So there's definitely something for everybody. That's for sure. And thanks a lot, everybody. Now we stop recording and we start a real conversation. So if you watch this and you're not here, now you missed the coolest part, actually.
Thank